So it's actually time to start working on this big project. If you've seen the last video, you know what I'm on about. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Give you a better idea of what's going on and what's going to be going on for the next 2-3 months, something like that. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go have a look. Yeah, this is the first video. We're going to be actually starting to work on stuff now. And it's actually grown again. So I'll talk a bit more about that at the end of the video. So what stuff's changed, what stayed the same, you know what I mean. So yeah, let's get started. And what better way to start other than with the Haruspex itself. I was a little bit unsure about whether the sizes would match up between Alarielle and this, comparing it to pictures of Alarielle with the beetle from the original model kit. I was quite surprised and quite thankful, honestly, that they matched up quite nice. So I'm going to show a bit of footage here just of the sprue and what you can expect from the normal Haruspex kit. It does give you options to make an exocrine, but I did actually consider doing an exocrine, but I eventually decided on the Haruspex. So normal rules apply. Snip it from the sprue, clear any mould lines, that sort of stuff. If you're somebody that's been working with models in the past, I highly recommend, and chances are you already use this, but I use Tamiya Extra Thin Plastic Cement. I did spend probably the first year of my hobbying career, yes, I'm calling it a career, I spent probably about the first year using just regular super glue. But I eventually caved and bought some of this Tamiya Extra Thin, and it's changed the game. You can get rid of any little gaps, any little mould lines if you've got any left, and it actually melts the plastic together. So I think you get a bit of a stronger bond than just using regular super glue, but I use this for the entirety of the model. And in all honesty, I'd say the best part about this is you don't really get it on your hands, so you're not sat scraping away any glue. You're not rushing to the sink trying to wash it off. So, nice little brush. Works out great. So, one of the issues that I did run into is, although the sizing was really good, Alarielle actually wouldn't fit on top of the carapace. So, I did what any guy would do. I cried a little bit, and I decided I would snip away at this 40 quid model. To be fair, I think I actually paid 47, which is at the time what retail price was. But I tend to buy a lot of my models on eBay secondhand. This was new in box, so I think I paid typically what you'd pay in the store. Alarielle I got for about 20 quid because she hadn't got the beetle. And I have noticed that it seems she's got a different weapon, because a lot of the images and videos I've seen, she's always got a staff. So if any of you know where this piece comes from, I wasn't sure if it was going to be from Tree Revenants or something like that. But if you know what it is, let me know in the comments. So I've got most of the Haruspex actually built now. So I've got the main body, got the arms, the legs. I'm going to switch camera real quick. So yeah, I've got the arms, the legs. But what I've decided to do is I've kept a lot of the head separate. And that's just because I want to make it a little bit easier to paint. Because as some of you probably know, it's quite hard to get into some of them nooks and crannies. So keeping it a little bit separate, I think that's going to help me long term. So I'll be able to paint in sub-assemblies, hopefully, and still get a decent effect. But I've decided that I want to probably modify it a little bit. Instead of just having that plate missing, I'm thinking possibly having some roots going up the side, and that's going to help where Alarielle's going to stand. And it's going to make it look a lot more natural. So yeah, let's carry on. So as I'm sure you know, I've got a lot of models for this diorama. So it originally started at 14 models. To be fair, it probably started with 2, just Alarielle and the Haruspex, and it was going to be Alarielle the Hive Queen. But that grew. I ended up getting some Tyrannid Humongous and also these Tyrannid Warriors. Messed around with a bit of the positioning of the arms, because I want this one to be clinging onto either a wall or a tree. I'm thinking maybe having a bit of like the effect you get in Predator, where it's got that active camo going, and then it's slowly going to fade into them more natural colours of the actual model. So this is how he ended up. I'm aware there's an arm missing, and I'm going to play into that a little bit, and I'm going to have it as if that arm has either been shot or cut off. So I've had some Hormagaunts for a few months now, probably 3-4 months, and I'm going to be using them in this project. But I want to make them a little more distinct from regular Hormagaunts. Try and make them a little more themed around Alarielle. So I've got one here, pretty standard. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a bit of green stuff sculpting. I'm going to try and make it look like the carapace is made of bark. So link it more into that nature. So let's see how it goes. Just quickly before we get into any of the green stuff, I just wanted to show a little mock-up of the diorama. So I have actually ordered some XPS foam, managed to find some, thanks Aaron. But I think that the majority of the build is going to be out of this packing foam. And that's just going to save on a bit of that material, because XPS foam in my experience can be quite expensive. But the idea is I'm going to have some of them Hormagaunts running through that opening there. And Alarielle and the Haruspex are going to be standing on top. So that's where the airbrush thinner is. So they're going to be pillars holding up the area. Alarielle's going to be on there with the Haruspex. So now it's time to show a bit of that green stuff work. Pretty simple, but like I said, quite effective. So I made sure that I was just using a toothpick, no special tools, and to prevent it from sticking, simply put the toothpick in my mouth, let the saliva go on there. Bit gross, yeah, I know, but it's a technique that I've seen quite a few people using, and it does actually work. So I'm just dragging some little lines here and there. I'm going to show a bit of footage that's not sped up, and that's just going to show you how carefully I'm doing this, but careful but haphazard. Let's word it like that. And that's going to help make these areas look a lot more natural. Because if you've seen a tree, I'm assuming you've seen a tree anytime in your life, but it's not very uniform, and hopefully the paint job is going to help lean into that, make it look a lot more natural. So this is the result of a bit of that green stuff sculpting. It's not perfect by all means, but I think when we paint it, it's going to look a lot better. And I'm hoping that the paint job is really going to sell that wooden theme. But yeah, pretty simple. Little subtle changes, but quite effective, I think. So I think that's going to be it for this video. And I'm going away for the weekend, going to see my girlfriend. So I am taking parts with me. I'm going to be doing some painting while I'm there. So I'll record some more when I get back. We're going to be talking colour schemes, how I'm going to be painting the Tyrannids, and by then I think my XPS foam should have arrived. So should be getting started on that base. So thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around. Like, comment, if you think I've earned it, drop a subscription. It's free. You can always click off it again if you decide that you don't like me anymore. So yeah, thanks. See you in the next one.